there's hardly any possibility for you to see what's happening with your life. Many a times, people around you can be beautiful witnesses for what's happening to your life, provided they are honest in their opinions. They are so careful not to hurt you. They are so careful to be not rude, to not disturb your peace, that in the process, they do great injustice. Your friends are always harsh. The best of your friends should be harsh. They should criticize you for all the flaws. That is how you learn. That is how you grow. As it is said, the worst thing a citizen of a country can do is be in all praise for his country. The most idiotic of people are all praise for their country, which is called blind patriotism. If you're truly honest, you will be looking for the flaws. You're talking about one whole group of people. How can there not be any flaws? How can there not be things to learn? But when you're blinded by this artificial definition of what is good, what is admirable, you don't give an honest opinion. And the same thing extends with individuals as well. All kinds of euphemisms, the way we have changed our language, the way we address each other, how lightly we want to skim on the surface of individuality. As quickly as possible, we want to glance and move on. We don't want to spend any time with an individual to understand, to descend to any depths, because then it becomes harder and harder to lie. Because there's so much there that you can see. If you can simply point it out, it will be so beneficial. Because as individuals, we are so close to ourselves that it is hard to see our own flaws. There is something inside us that covers up all the flaws, that masks all pain, that keeps on giving us an impression that everything is fine, but we might be headed in a totally wrong direction. But it is so easy for somebody else to notice that. In Notes from the Underground, there's a conversation between a young prostitute and the hero of the story. Now, the hero of the story is upset. He's angry. His friends have insulted him. In that rage, he has met this girl and he's not nice to her at all. He's rude. But in that rudeness, he's very honest. He's not trying to shower her with compliments. He is just recognizing that human condition that is suffering inside him, and he sees that same suffering outside. Because suffering is so real, so natural, if only you talk about it, you connect with people. You don't have to put on a show to show people that what they are doing eventually leads to suffering, because more often than not, they do not understand where they are going, where they are headed. Here is the conversation. Why have you come to me? Tell me that, please. I began, gasping for breath, and regardless of logical connection in my words. I longed to have it all out at once, at one burst. I did not even trouble how to begin. Why have you come? Answer, answer, I cried, hardly knowing what I was doing. Now, just to give you a little bit of context, He's shouted at this girl, and then he's given his address, and he's asked her, if you want to help yourself, I can help you, you can come to me. But he did not expect her to come. She actually comes, thinking that he can help her, but when in fact, he was simply angry, frustrated, and he just shouted at her. Why have you come to me? Tell me that, please. I began, gasping for breath, and regardless of logical connection in my words, I longed to have it all out at once, at one burst. I did not even trouble how to begin. Why have you come? Answer, answer, I cried, hardly knowing what I was doing. I'll tell you, my good girl, why you have come. You've come because I talked sentimental stuff to you then. So now you are soft as butter and longing for fine sentiments again. So you may as well know that I was laughing at you then, and I am laughing at you now. Why are you shuddering? Yes, I was laughing at you. I had been insulted just before at dinner by the fellows who came that evening before me. I came to you meaning to thrash one of them, an officer, but I didn't succeed. I didn't find him. I had to avenge the insult on someone to get back my own again. You turned up. I vented my spleen on you and laughed at you. I had been humiliated, so I wanted to humiliate. I had been treated like a rag, so I wanted to show my power. That's what it was. And you imagined I had come there on purpose to save you. Yes, you imagined that. You imagined that. She is so touched by his words that she decides to come, because for the first time, someone has pointed out all her flaws, all her mistakes. What is she doing? Leaving her family, leaving her good life, leaving the comfort for money. She's selling herself without knowing that youth and all that she's relying on now will soon disappear. And this is what he points to her. People will use you and eventually they'll discard you. You think this is your way out, but this is your trap. I can see you on the streets, on these very streets that you're walking now, someday being discarded. And he gives an example of so many other girls who have been discarded. They're living in a filthy city. People are angry, greedy, frustrated. And here is a young, innocent girl amidst of all this without knowing anything about life. And he has lived long. He's in his 40s. He understands what happens over a period of time. But if he was nice to her, he would have never spoken about all these things. In a way, this is kind of the situation we are in. Unless we are in a fit of rage, fit of anger, we cannot be ourselves. Something has to come like a whirlwind and take away our mask, take away our pretense, take away our desire to put on a show for us to be ourselves. If only enough number of people in the world can be themselves. Here and there, not everybody, a few among the politicians, a few among the actors, a few among businessmen, if they can be utterly honest, brutally honest, and tell things to people, what is happening, the world would be a completely different place. Young are being deceived. The old are deceiving themselves because we are all playing the game. And quietly, we are forgetting the reason why we are here as a group, as a bunch, is to help each other. We are a community. What is the purpose of a community? Is it to keep on praising each other, all kind of false praise? Even when you know very clearly what's happening around you is not right. The true value of a community is there's someone who's progressed a little more along the path. There's someone who knows a little more about life. The young are receiving the guidance from the old. The old have the wisdom and resources to rely on, and they have the courage to be honest. When all this is taken away, there'll be nothing but hankering for fame. Each individual trying to jostle to the center of fame. A struggle which is totally unnecessary, because the objective of life cannot be to attain to fame. It is to attain to some level of honesty, which takes time. Schopenhauer says, he gives a beautiful example of how the way we look at life changes as time passes. He gives an example of a hill. He says, life is like climbing a mountain. On the other side of the mountain is death. So when you're on the first half of your journey, death is so far away, you don't even see it. It is somewhere on the other side of the mountain. So all you're thinking about is climbing this mountain. So your dreams, your imaginations, your longing for life is all lofty. And you want to get there. And when you're trying to get there, life has its own pace. It cannot give you everything you're wanting. Life has to unfold at a certain pace. Now that you're wanting to experience as much joys of life as possible, time slows down. He says, first half of life, or even the first quarter of life, 20 to 25 years, is the longest. Because you're wanting to experience as much as possible, and time is fleeting by. And then, when you get to the top of the hill, and then you see death, when you're on the second half of your life, you don't want to approach that death. You know it's just a rolling down the hill now. Nothing lofty to aspire for. Now, time takes a completely different turn. Now, you don't want time to pass quickly. Because you don't want it to pass quickly, it is passing very quickly. He says that second half of life passes almost twice or thrice as fast as the first half of life. And that is why he says the way we remember our youth is very different from the way we remember our old age. We remember our youth with great vividity because there are a lot of experiences that we want to hold on to. But once you're on the top of the hill and you start looking at life from a different perspective, memories, images, experiences, they just come and go. Nothing sticks. By then, the true quality of life, what life is in its entirety, becomes visible. That is why you will acquire a certain wisdom when you reach a certain age, which is impossible to get when you're young, no matter what. You can acquire all the knowledge in the world. You can call yourself the most intelligent, the smartest. But the wisdom that comes with age is irreplaceable because it is only age that shows you life in its entirety, that shows you beauty in its entirety, that shows you people in their entirety. Because death comes into the picture. Now when you see, eventually life's going to end, what you value changes. What you chase after changes. Now, what if this wisdom of standing on top of the mountain and looking at the entire view is passed to those who are on this side, who are completely blinded by this idea that they are climbing this mountain which is infinite? Just look at the eyes of the young. There's great curiosity, great enthusiasm for life, but there's great stupidity as well. They don't see the other half of life. So in their ignorance, they make a lot of mistakes. As one school teacher who works with kids says, nowadays kids are so much smarter, so much more intelligent than we were, and so much more self-assured in all that they know, They kind of truly believe that they are smarter than us. But when presented with a situation where they have to apply common sense, apply their individuality, and deal with the situation, they are totally pathetic. We were much better in that regard. At that age, we could deal with situations, we could deal with emotional blows much better. Kids now are just empty intelligence. They believe that they're intelligent, but they don't even know the entirety of what intelligence is. Emotional intelligence, spiritual intelligence, wisdom to know which path you're taking, how actions are impacting you. They are totally oblivious to all this. They're just filled with all kinds of information. Now, the world we are heading, the direction in we are heading is people are becoming more and more like children. More and more, they're losing the perspective of the other side of life, because we are artificially creating an environment in our minds and outside which prolongs even more our perception of death. So till you get to the last few years, you are not even allowed to contemplate on death. Without that perspective, you remain childish, you remain kiddish for too long. And that's the world we are seeing. Lacks depth, lacks responsibility. A certain kind of responsibility comes only with age, with wisdom. To see yourself as a part of the human community, to see humanity as a beautiful thing, without anger, without resentment, to see it as something essential. If you just remain a kid, if you remain a child, you will remain angry and frustrated with humanity, which is inevitable, which is the state of the world. Most people cannot connect with life. Most people cannot connect with humanity because the perspective is lacking.